Okay, hello everyone. Thank you very much for coming back to my channel to watch another video. In today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about finances and what my financial goals are. So, to give you a little bit of background, over the past couple of years, I would say definitely the last 2 years, but even up to the last 3 years, I put a lot of effort into just changing my habits and changing my kind of thoughts about money in order to be able to get my finances more under control. And so yeah, over the past couple of years, I've been able to pay off all of my debt, except for a small amount, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, but pay off all of my debt, save enough money for a down payment, or my half of a down payment on a house, and just really get my finances and spending habits and money habits under control. So on this channel, I want to start talking a little bit about finances, give some tips that helped me when I was kind of going through this transition of learning to live within my means and not go into debt and not spend all of my money so that I could save some of it. I will maybe do a video about some things that I wish I had known a couple of years ago before I started this journey, or right when I was starting it. That would have helped a lot to get to where I am today a little bit faster. So long story short, I want to start putting out some financial related content on my channel, just because I find it really interesting, and it's something that's very central in my life. I think a lot about it right now, and so maybe someone might find it interesting too, or benefit from what I have to say about it. So in today's video, it's kind of like an introduction to some of the upcoming videos I'm going to be doing on my finances, but I wanted to talk about what my financial goals are. I wish that I could say these are my financial goals for 2021, but we are planning on buying a house in the next few months, very soon, in the next 3 or 4 months. So once we go ahead and buy the house, I know that my financial situation will change a lot. I'm going to spend all the money that I've saved for the past couple of years and have a lot more expenses, so it will be a lot different, but I'll be able to kind of make some videos and show that process of how I'm changing from, saving most of my money, which is what I'm doing now, to I guess spending most of it on all of the new expenses that I am going to have. But for today, I want to talk about the financial goals that I have up until we buy the house. We have a couple of months before we actually purchase a house, and so there's a couple of things that I can do to just make sure I'm in a really good financial position when we do buy the house. So, long story, but so I'm going to talk about my finances. I'm going to talk about what my financial goals are. So, like I said, we are going to buy a house. So in a nutshell, my financial goals until we actually purchase the house are just to save as much money as I can, kind of save every penny that I can, so that when we do purchase the house, I have just as much in savings as I can, because there's a lot of other things that come with buying a house, like the moving fees and closing fees, and we're gonna have to buy a car, all of that stuff. It's very exciting, but it's very expensive. So I really want to make sure that I'm just saving all of the money that I can. And so some of the specific goals that I have in order to get me to that really great financial place. So the first one is to save $1,000 in my emergency fund. So this is money that I've been setting aside and will not touch unless there's an emergency. So currently I have about $800 in this emergency fund, which on one hand isn't that much. If we need a new roof on our house or something, $800 is not going to cover that, but it's also $800 more than I had an emergency fund about a year ago. I started saving about a year ago for this fund. So I want to make sure that I get to $1,000 before we buy the house. So I have to save about $200 more. And then I'll keep contributing to my emergency fund every paycheck, but just in a smaller amount. My second goal is to pay off my credit card. I have about $2,000 that I owe on my credit card right now. And when we buy a house and start making mortgage payments and all of that, I want to make sure that I don't have any additional debt payments that I need to make. So I really want to pay that off in the next couple of months. And then my third goal is to be really intentional with my money and with my spending over the next couple of months. There's always things that I want and think that I need to buy, but in reality I probably don't. So I want to make sure that everything I am purchasing are things that I actually need, and that I'm not purchasing just because I want to, or just because I want something, especially because we will be moving. So I don't want to spend a bunch of money and buy a bunch of stuff that we just have to move in a couple of months anyway. So I really want to make sure that my spending is really under control, and that everything that I am spending is very intentional. And then my fourth and last goal is to start to set some money aside for expenses that are going to come up once we move. So I recently discovered the cash envelope system. And if you haven't seen those videos, I've made 2 videos on it so far. You can go back and watch those. It's so much fun. I'm so excited that I discovered this. So in this cash envelope system, you think of, they're called sinking funds. So funds that you set aside for future expenses. For example, Christmas, I think, is a really good example. I'm gonna start setting money aside now so that when Christmas rolls around, especially because it's going to be our first Christmas in a new house, I have enough money set aside that it won't break the bank decorating our house or having people over for Christmas, hopefully, if the pandemic goes away. So I want to start setting money aside for expenses like that. A few other expenses that I'll start setting money aside for are my moving expenses. So I'm going to start to put a little bit of money away over the next couple of months, that when we do have to pay movers to move us, it won't be like a shocking amount, which is what I'm used to, right? Every time a big expense comes up, you have to kind of scrape together all of your money to pay for it. That's the way I am anyway. So I want to start setting some money aside. So I'm going to do a bunch of videos on that, on the sinking funds and the cash envelope system. So you can look forward to that in the future. Okay, so those are my 4 financial goals for the next couple of months. Save $1,000 into an emergency fund, pay off the little bit of credit card money that I owe, not waste any money, really stop spending money, and to set money aside for future expenses. So like I said, I'm going to do a whole bunch of kind of financial videos on this channel that I'm really looking forward to making. So I hope that you come back and watch some of those. And if you're looking forward to that, maybe you're also making some financial changes in your life, or you want to and you want to see some tips on how I did it, please subscribe to my channel, and you'll know when those videos come out. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.